Stock Talk. This is your host, Scott. Hope you had a good rest of your week in your trading last week. We did end up with a down week for the week. Was not able to pocket any money. But the good news is we're still doing really good for the year. Was checking some of the markets, in the Dow now for the year to date is 0.71% down. The NASDAQ is up 28.71% for the year. Very good year for the NASDAQ, and the S&P's up 7.26%, which is a good year anytime you look at it. But I will say that we are ahead of all three of those, so we're doing good for the year, even though we had a little rough week last week because of our NVAX. We're going to talk about that tonight. And kind of talk about a little bit about what we talked last week, see if it held up, and then kind of get our game plan together for what we're going to do this week. We'll take a look at the markets tonight and see what's going on there as well as we get closer and closer to this election. So let's jump over to the NVAX chart and kind of talk about that again and see if that pattern stood up that we talked about last week. So let's jump over there. So as you can see here on the chart, we talked last week about this pattern that we were seeing about as the price was getting driven down, the volume would pick up, as you can see by down here. And then we talked about also somewhere around that lunch hour, the big boys were going to get a hamburger and everything else managed to go up while they were gone. And then it's had a tendency to knock that back down at the end of the day. So you see, that was the 19th, the 20th. We had the same pattern here. You see the volume build up. It's at the lows. So we got buyers coming in at this point. We got people's stops being taken out, that kind of thing. As you can see here, the next day, same issue. This was Wednesday. This is where we talked about that. Same deal going on as well right there. So what did it do the 22nd? So the 22nd, we did open up and it did climb. And it kind of went a little reverse from what it did earlier. So we got the pop in the morning. You see the big volume here as it went up. It got up there. Once it got up there, the volume kind of died off. It did take another dip down here, but not all the way back down to this level. So the volume was not great there. And then we see the day kind of went on up a little bit higher here, got all the way up to 95. And then kind of ended the day here around this 4 o'clock hour. Let's see where it ended up there. It was around the 93 something range there. So did end up in the green, I think, for that day. Let's go on to the next day. As the next day, our pattern picked right back up again. We see how it gets driven down, and I mean it got clobbered, got knocked all the way down into the 80s. I think it was we'll look at that low in a little bit, but I think it was 85 something, maybe even 84. And it got down here, you see the volume. And then as the day went on, we see that it starts getting around lunchtime and it starts to pick back up. And it did recover quite well for the day. Actually almost got to even for the day, but it did close a little bit on the red. So the same pattern took place. This is, again, let's go back and look at the volumes for Friday. But as you can see here, it did close only 46 cents down. It was all the way down to the 86 level, 86.50 for Friday. Notice the volume again, 3 million shares, not anything to get crazy about or worry about there. The regular volume is about 6 million shares a day. So same deal. Here's the day chart. The volume went down in the morning. I mean, the shares went down in the morning. The volume picked up, and then it climbed its way back up. I was thinking about what might have happened here. How it did its little climb at lunchtime. Well, a lot of times, people take off on Friday, so maybe the big boys took off at lunchtime and didn't come back, so it held up pretty good. But let's talk about NVAX for just a minute. Again, we're seeing this price getting driven down, but it held up very well those last 2 days. Actually up on Thursday, and even though it got knocked down severely on Friday, it climbed its way back up. So I really like that. I like the strength there. So I'm holding quite a few shares of that, more than my normal amount. I'm still waiting on those two pieces of data. When are we going to start the P3 test in the United States? And what's the details on the P2 data? So they said early on that information about the P2 data would be, and P3 it would be out mid-October sometime, as far as when all that would come out and when that would start. So it's past mid-October. We're at the end of October. So I'm really counting on something to be out this week. So someday this week, I think we're going to have some news. And when we do, I hope it's good, especially that P2 data. I think that would drive the price back up to that 114, 117 level. And that's the point where we'll start selling some of those extra shares we've got. I'm going to hold a pretty good stake in it for a while until it gets back up to those high levels of, at least the 150s, the 160s, somewhere around there. But we're a long way from there. We're at $93.13, so not there right now. But I've got all the confidence in the world in this one right now. I don't think it's going to prove me wrong, but it could. That's the dangers of pharmaceuticals. Any bad news can make these things drop, and I mean drop drastically. So be aware of that if you're holding any of it. I'm holding quite a bit, so hope that doesn't happen. It's happened before, and you sometimes just have to ride those things out, and it can be a long period of time before it recovers. So that's where I'm at on NVAX. So I wanted to talk about our portfolio and how the rest of that did Friday, but I want to kind of show you something else I do from time to time just to kind of get a grasp of, when you have a down week, you want to kind of try to figure out what's causing that down week. I know because of the number of shares I'm holding in NVAX, it's kind of driving my portfolio. So if it has a down week, I'm going to have a down week. Even though I will say that U.S. Steel's been doing pretty good, so that's a big holding of mine as well. But it's not enough to offset the downward trend of the NVAX last week. So, but let's look at that. I want to show you something on that. Let me get back over to our portfolio and show you what I like to do sometimes, just to kind of keep everything in perspective. It's because it's all about that perspective, and I talked about that in some strategy videos and some other videos about, how do you not panic when things are going down? How do you keep the right perspective? So one way I do it is I try to, if I have a down week, I like to go and look at each one of my stocks that I'm holding, and I go to a 5-day chart and just kind of get a glimpse at that 5-day chart. And so we'll do it here with all these this week, and we'll show you XPSA. Here's your 5-day chart on that. As you can see here, you've got a downward trend on that. All right, so about 216 down to 197. That's a pretty good little downward trend we've got going on that one. So that one's not helping us any. It was off Friday just a little bit. Nikola. Okay, let's go pull that one up. Kind of see what it's done the last 5 days. And that one, of course, we were way up here, so not that great. Looks, if it was down here, it would have been a little bit better. But so we went from here, even though we did take a drop for a couple of days, we did manage to get back up, and we're probably in the green on that one for the week, 21.73 versus 22.55 there. So not, at least it's heading the right direction on that one. So that's not a problem. Again, it depends on the size of the stakes of these things. The SPA and this one here, the HTBX, is the one I do not have a large holdings in. So these were just plays for some pops. And as you can see, that one has a downward trend too, even though it did have a little green day on Friday. So the 5-day chart shows me a downward trend on that one. NVAX, we know the deal on that, but let's just take a quick look at that 5-day chart, and you can see, and this is a large holding, so it has dropped about $10 a share. So multiply that share count that I have. I won't go into that, but it's $10 a share, so that's quite a drop. Let's see here. So that one's driving the portfolio. XOM, ExxonMobil, 5-day chart on that one. We see here, see we started the week somewhere around here. So we're up just a tad for the week, 33.92 to 34.17 it looks like. So that one was good to us last week. And then X, I'm gonna think we're gonna have a good one here because I think it's been on a pretty good trend. So let's take a look. Yeah, look at X. Let's see. X was at 914, is now at 995. So that's almost a 10% gain for the week. If not, I get pretty close to it. So that's good. I actually had a 6% gain on Friday. Not bad. And look, it actually went up here to this level here, which was 1027. So X is getting interesting. And notice the volume here. I've been seeing heavier volume on this one. I think earnings are coming up. Yeah, earnings date's October 29th, so we got to watch for that and see what's coming up on that. That one could be a turning point either way. I don't think the earnings are expected to be good, but they may be better than what they're being predicted, than what they were predicted. So it doesn't always matter what your earnings are or the losses are. If you put something out there and you beat those projections, that's what drives the price up sometimes. And also any kind of news about the next quarter being even better. So that's what we look for there in the earnings calls. ACB, I'm not sure what it did for the week. Let's take a quick look. Actually, it was up pretty good for the week, it looks like. So $3.98 versus $4.68. So that's a pretty good climb for sure. But we need that one to climb a lot more. We're way down on that one, so we're not worried about it too much. And we don't have a huge stake in it either. There was a reverse split on that one at one time, so we're kind of dead in the water on that one. All right. So looking at the markets here, looks like we're going to start the week out possibly in the red. Dow futures fall more than 200 points as U.S. coronavirus cases surge to record highs. So looks like we may start out in the red tomorrow. That kind of news there could be good for our vaccine virus, our vaccine stocks. So even though it's bad, looks like bad news, it may be good news for the portfolio. So you just never know how it's going to go. Let's look at Asia. Looks like Nikkei is up just barely. It's pretty much flat. Shanghai down almost 1%, and Hong Kong is up about 0.5%. So got a little green there, a little red. Other than that, nothing major going on. Oil looks like it's down just a tad. Oil falls more than 1% as surging COVID cases stoke demand fears. So, any kind of issues with the virus, we're going to, of course, nobody's going to be traveling a whole lot still, so it doesn't help oil prices at all. All right, so that's kind of where we're at on things. Again, we're going to be looking for trying to get some of this cash on the sideline again. We are down to 19% cash. Did load up on that NVAX, like I said, so got a good bit of money tied up in that. So we're going to be trying to get that cash position built back up. We are just 10 days away, 9 days away or so from this election. So definitely want to try to get some cash on the sideline prior to that. So don't be surprised if that NVAX gets a run up, that we don't unload some of that, if not all of it. But we'll see. I doubt we'll be getting rid of all of it, since it's probably not going to go. It would take it getting up to that 120 to 130 level probably before I'd get rid of everything. But anyway, that's kind of the game plan there, is try to get some of that on the sideline this week. Not going to probably buy a whole lot unless something takes a good dip. I'm at that 19%. I like to be around 25, 30%. Would love to be higher as we get close to this election. So, but hope you have a good week of trading. Hey, I appreciate you watching these videos. Don't forget to click that like button. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button. It's been good last couple of weeks. We've had a few more subscribers. I appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed, I notice a lot of the people that watch are not subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, the notification button, so you'll know when these videos come out. And I do usually put a video out on Sunday nights and Wednesday night. Okay, but sometimes that's as late as Thursday. But hope you have a great week. Be careful trading. That we are coming up on this election, but it's never a bad time to trade and or invest your money. All right, well, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later on in the week. Thanks. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking this button right here. Thanks.